I don't know if Alex really is excited to talk about the Leafs here. Yesterday, just for some context, I'm watching the Habs game, obviously, and I at one point saw it was 6-1 Toronto. I'm like, well, that's fun. That's fun. You love to see that. And then I see Twitter's just going up. So, we could have started the show being like, the Minnesota game was a complete 180 from everything.
Which it was.
Very effective against a good team, but a team that has no centers that could take faceoffs. According to Michael Russo.
Oh, I trust him. I trust his opinion on the Minnesota Wild. Funny enough, it doesn't matter what month it is. I trust Justin Russo, the beat reporter. But anyway,
Michael Russo.
Michael, I said Justin again, didn't I?
Yes, the Jake Allen lookalike.
Place, man.
Jake Allen lookalike.
They do. No, they do. Yeah. They do actually. Alex, do you want to tell us what happened in that game between Detroit and Toronto?
Sure. There's nothing to talk about in the first two periods other than Toronto played their game. That was it. The first two periods. Mitch Marner had a hat trick. That was his first NHL hat trick. And then it all fell apart in the third. I'm not entirely sure what happened. I watched it again, and it felt like I just don't know what to say. It's frustrating. I think I said this last episode before the Minnesota game where I said it's frustrating because it just felt like a collapse. And I think, we can have the debate whether it's goaltending, whether it's their defense. Crazy idea. This might be radical even. It's both. Last night's loss might have actually been both.
So, fair enough. The final score, if you haven't seen, was 10-7. I don't know if I have ever seen that score in the time I've watched hockey. That wasn't a video game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mitch Marner had a 6.9. He had 4 goals.
And it doesn't matter.
I was actually planning on being like, okay, so let's talk about the Matthews heart race thing. Not if he's the best player in the world. No, we're not doing that. And I was going to be like, we can talk about how he's leading the, what did I say?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
I was just
and even the rocket race, how he's taken that over, but it's just sort of, there's this air. That's a game that if you went to it is just sort of like, okay, that was great. It's also funny to see a game that no matter who wins, they're both going to the locker room and probably getting eviscerated by their coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have Detroit on the side of it. But I only got to tune in with about 12 minutes left in the third period. I saw it was, I don't remember who scored the goal. It may have been Rasmussen's hat-trick goal when it just sloppily went through Mrazek's leg. I think it was on a breakaway or something. I think an even natural stat trick had the thing of it was statistically one of the worst performances ever to do with goaltending. 100%. All full four goalies played. And I think I want to say that who was the other goalie in Detroit? It's not Nedeljkovic.
Greiss.
Thomas Greiss. His save percentage was .714. So fun fact about that.
Nedeljkovic got pulled in the first. He was back in net by the third period.
How often do you see a guy get pulled and put back in too, eh?
I've seen it a while ago, yeah.
I think this is the second time I've seen it.
Yeah.
The only time I can think of beside that, and it was it Jeff Ward in Calgary in the playoffs against Dallas, because he was going to put whoever back in net, and it just still fell apart for Calgary. I remember we criticized that on the show because this isn't, and it was apparently a junior move you used to pull when we're in the NHL, bud.
Yeah. No, that was last night was what a game. Because there's a few good things to talk about, but it just gets overshadowed by the fact that I can't even say they crumbled because I actually thought they played quite a good game. I really did. And then they just had these stupid goaltending errors and then these stupid defensive errors that cost them every single time. That's the frustrating part because I was ready to talk about Minnesota's game and say, wow, you know what? That might have been a boring game, but they played a damn good game. And then they come on Saturday in Detroit, Jack Campbell back in net. And we'll talk about Jack Campbell because I think there was some criticism for pulling him while they're winning. I disagree. you got like, it's just frustrating. That's it. Like, I still think they're a good team. None of these regular season games changed my stance on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Until game 1 of the playoffs, my stance on the Toronto Maple Leafs will always be the same. It's just frustrating.
You know what it felt to me yesterday when I was watching the game is, yes, they're the 10 goals where the Leafs, the offense was clicking. They were able to kind of take advantage of this rebuilding inexperienced Detroit team. But the way I kind of saw it was, imagine a ship on a dock where before it's going to go off and someone says, hey, you might want to take off the anchor from the harbor, make some adjustments here and there, but they kept going with everything still attached and just everything just dragged along with them while they're still putting up the 10 goals. For me, that's what it kind of felt like when I saw that third period. And I agree with Alex that we've mentioned it before. We've saw the few games after the All-Star break, games before the All-Star break, that I am a little concerned about Jack Campbell. And I know that it's not just on him on the back end, but in terms of just fixating on goaltending, I am concerned. And in terms of the defense, where it's not necessarily patchwork right now, but all of the changes they're trying to do, I just feel like they can't deal with there's a consistency issue here. And right now, I don't know. This game was, if it was any other team, I don't know if I'd feel a different way, but it's just weird to me because Detroit's a young team. So the onus is on them. Yeah, they let in 10 goals. It's still pretty bad. But for Toronto to let in 7, it's just, you're supposed to be a contending team here.
Yeah, listen, everyone has bad games. Colorado were down 3-0 versus Winnipeg and then scored 6 straight. I'm trying to think of the past 10-goal games we've seen recently. And the guys on the other score, I think maybe it's going to be 1 or 2 you get back. Think of, I keep thinking of, because Montreal have been involved in 3 of them. They were on the losing side of one against Columbus, but those are there was a 10-0 game, 10-1, and then 11-2 against Detroit. So they've also been victims of a few of these too. There's just this thing of an extra bit of hilarity when you get past. We talked about it the other day with the empty net goal with St. Louis, the number 6. 7 is just, my goodness. And then when you start getting to the 8 categories, you're like, it feels like the 80s. Let's talk about Jack Campbell, right? Mm-hmm. Because first, again, there was this sort of notion that the pause sort of, the COVID pause sort of messed him up. And in Calgary, we saw that Jacob Markstrom had a few rough games and they bounced back. Now, the issue with that is it's nearly March now.
Right.
And then there is the word of the stomach bug. Okay, but that's a recent thing.
That doesn't account for the stretch of about, okay, when did they come back from the COVID pause? Mid-January?
A while ago.
Yeah. A while ago. And then he came back, okay, let's give him 3 weeks. We're talking about a stretch of a month where he hasn't looked great. Which
goaltenders can't just fall off for a month and you're like, he's all right.
No, there's no excuse, I think, for that stretch. Again, this delusion that he was a 9, what was it, whatever he started.
It was 947.
Whatever he started the season with he's not that. He's not. I thought I was I wasn't on this guy's an elite goaltender. I think I said it on the show a month ago or so when we had that discussion. Do I have concerns? Absolutely. He's played more games this year than he's ever played in any other season.
The argument, because obviously the big thing, this is his first full season as a starter.
Right.
Yes, but then the issue becomes, and this is a criticism, is the play of Peter Mrazek.
Oh my God.
And you look back at, he didn't play a lot of games last year. I think he played 2 regular season games before he got hurt. But then there's the reality of, all right, so do they need to get another goaltender? Because if both at the moment almost seem like options. These are the time of the season we're at now, March, going into the deadline, and that if you're not sure about your goaltending and what's the matchup right now, it's Tampa and Vasilevsky. I don't know about that. There's worry there that you have a real. We've been talking about the sort of battle up front in defense. Is there any goalie you would rather be more certain? Let me rephrase that. Is there any goalie you'd like to face less when you're unsure of your own position than Tampa and Vasilevsky? No. Didn't he win the Conn Smythe last year?
Yeah.
Yes,
I think so.
Because Victor Hedman was in 2020, right?
Mhm.
I didn't watch the presentation because I was too depressed. But
We watched it for you. It's okay.
Yeah, good. I'm never gonna watch it. But yeah, you know what I mean. It's just there needs to be a questioning goal.
I cannot praise Peter Mrazek anymore because every time I do on the podcast, the next game is an absolute tire fire.
I like to say sorry that I remember when he was signed, I called him the key insurance policy in case Jack Campbell stumbles. I remember saying that.
So this is Daniel's fault.
I'm sorry.
Any Leaf fan listening to the podcast, it's Daniel's fault.
He got the games in. Jack Campbell's ready to be a starter, but not play as much as we thought. But again, I just did not foresee this drop off. I know we were talking about how he was in the regular season. Of course, he was expected to cool off a bit, but I didn't expect him to freeze over like this, if this makes sense.
Drop to a stretch of under 900. No, I didn't think that either. Did you listen? Even if again, no goalie is 940, except maybe Shesterkin right now. My goodness, we got a part time to talk about that eventually. But it's just again, he's older too, so maybe that's sort of. I'm not saying he's ancient, but he's 28, 29. I think Campbell. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask about Nick. Sorry, go ahead, Alex. What were you going to say?
No. I was just going to say last night, obviously, there was a lot of maybe there wasn't as much criticism about it, but about pulling Jack Campbell while he was winning.
Yeah.
Listen, the goals that he let in, not good enough. Pull him. I wasn't a fan of the Sid Cicero tweet though, where the idea that because you pull him when he's winning, that you can't rein him back in. Or I don't know what he was trying to get at, but I just think he's completely off base with that one. When your goaltender lets in goals like that, you cannot keep him in there. I don't care if your backup's Petr Mrazek or Garrett Sparks. It can't be done.
I think with Campbell, I think it's been very evident he is a guy who, when his confidence is gone, it's very hard to stick with him. And I think that, and if Sheldon Keefe had never took that sort of timeout, to worry when I think it was close to I think it was a 1-goal game. Maybe it was after the Rasmussen goal. If Campbell stayed in, and I know he was obviously pulled before that happened, but I think Detroit could honestly have come back and actually done it because Campbell was just, you had to do it. You had to do it. There was just sort of in that situation, and it was just, it's hilarious that you could almost feel it coming. I don't think there was anyone who doubted Detroit were going to at least tie it. They never did, but that was the sort of air of it. I thought it was the right move, and I was shocked when I saw Keefe take that time off because I thought maybe he had done it already. But it's actually pretty smart because when you pull a goalie, you can sort of cheekily take that as a timeout, which is a silo move there that coaches sometimes like doing. I was going to ask how Nick Robertson played, but I
couldn't tell you.
Don't think it matters at all. I was shocked he was on the fourth line. I saw them what?
I'm not sure. I know why he was in the lineup. I think the idea was the stomach bugs going around. You might as well give a guy he's been, from what I've read. I don't have the time, unfortunately, to watch every single Marlies game. But from what I've read from credible people, he seemed to be doing well in the AHL, and you might as well give the kid a shot. But again, that line, the only lines that were visible to me last night was the first line and the third line.
That's fair.
That's usually it. Yeah, I mean, that's what I usually see. Yeah.
Andre Kase saved the game.
The second line has been invisible.
Yeah. Tavares, I saw people joking that Tavares didn't have a point last night. I was like,
Again, I'd like Ottawa fans to tone it down a bit about John Tavares.
Yeah, just say back to them, it would be nice if a Star stayed with Owen Wayne.
It'd be nice if you played in the city that you say you play in.
All right, Ottawa. We know it's not all of you. It's.
I mean, go to the U.S. It's okay. Like, please, it's okay. I'm okay with it if you are.
No.
I mean, hey, Eugene wanted to go to the U.S. They're more than welcome. They're more than welcome to.